Welcome, family, to Conflicts and Conversations. I'm Charles.
And I'm Myhisha. And today we're going to talk about a situation we had with our daughter who was 18 at the time and wanted to go out and stay out all night.
I don't know how to really start this in this. I feel a little bit indifferent about it now, but a couple years back when she was 18, she was in school, in college, and she went away to school. And so she wants to go out with her friends, and of course she wants to stay out all night. But when she's back home, I guess my thought process or was, and still is a little bit, hey, you're home. There's a curfew in my house. Yes, you're 18, but you're not really grown to me. And because I think I don't feel like you're grown, this staying out all night thing didn't really resonate well with me. So, of course, I get it that you're out on your own when you're in school, but when you're with me, I just didn't have those same views. So that's really where the problem came in. There was a small argument that ensued, and really, I won the argument because I said you're not gonna stay out all night long. Period. I had your butt home by I think I did 1 o'clock, which is pretty good. 18-year-old on the streets, 1 o'clock. What you doing out there at 1 o'clock at nighttime? I can only the truth. What I was thinking was terrible, but that's what I didn't want to happen. So that's really what it came down to. And so I'll let her mother take it from here.
Well, the problem that because I understood her point of view, only because she was home for the weekend. So, unfortunately for her, she decided to go to a school that was just over the freeway from us. So, maybe 30 minutes from us. And since Dad wanted to take a weekly ride to just go towards her school.
I want to check on that. That's fair. You check. My girl is close to me. This is my daughter, right? And so any good parent will go check on their daughter. Right? We're going to see her, but also it's fun to see her. We got to be fair. Be fair to me about this, right?
Yeah.
Okay. There you go.
Fair.
There you go.
We went to go check on her almost every weekend. And she got to the point where she got used to it. It was fine. However, when it was time for her to come home for the holidays, she wanted to go out. And I understood she wanted to go out because even though we would catch her like 9 o'clock at night when we would roll by just before our bedtime, she had the rest of the night to go out or do whatever college students do, which we both know about because we were college students.
Yeah.
Away from home college students.
Yeah.
Yes. So because of that, I understood exactly what she was talking about when she said, why do I even need a curfew? Needing a curfew means that there's a requirement. And why is there a requirement? Because I actually already know and can handle myself. I know how to and I can. And I do when I'm not in your house.
But the school ain't had a curfew. They did have a curfew indoors, remember?
Yes, but that was during the week. On the weekends, they didn't have to, or especially when they were gone. But they didn't have to on the weekends.
But listen, my point of it is really, you just turned 18. She just turned 18, right? She did a couple months earlier because she's born in October.
So let's put this in perspective. For those who do not know, our daughter went to school at 17. Her birthday's in October. So the first semester, she spent mostly being 17.
Right.
We're talking about her going into actually, she was already in the second semester, going into the holidays. So Christmas time, right after that, she'd come home.
Okay.
And she was 18, but she had been a mature 17-year-old, as mature as she could be. And she also was an 18-year-old who was finding her own way. So in my opinion, I thought it was a good idea to have coaching moments, meaning let her do what she does when she's away from us so we can see what she does and how she does it, and then guide her. Just give her some input if that was what was necessary in our from our point of view.
I think that's nice. And I thought it was nice, truthfully, when we talk about it like that. But I come a little more aggressive. Yes, she just turned 18. I don't want her out on the streets being buck wild. And you saw some of the friends that she had. And so, but some of the friends is buck wild, and so with that being said, I want to make sure, yes, you can give her the coaching moment, but there also, to me, should be some structure, right? You still coach them within the structure.
Right, but what's the structure?
The structure is not let her butt hang in them streets all night long.
Okay, so the structure is not letting her when she can do whatever that they do at any given time of the day.
I get it, but to me, when she's in our presence, in our house, living under our roof, there should be a structure. To me, she wasn't 21 yet at this time. She just turned 18, right? And so my thought process is, you know what? Yes, I get, America, 18 years old, I understand, but she can't even drink yet. And I mean that, what I mean by that, you're just touching the surface of adulthood. I still believe there should be some structure there. Yes, I truly believe what you just said. Hey, the coach within the structure. At the same time, if she gives us, because yes, once she's 18, if she gives us enough leverage in her life, where we can still speak and we still have enough, I want to say authority in this thing right here, in this, I want to say authority, because what I mean by this, she gives us enough leverage. Hey, we want you to do things a certain way because we want you to be safe when you go out and do certain things. We want to make sure you think, the right way. Yes, because she has always been great about that. But at the same time, we also saw her opening up into a lot of newer things. Okay, as she was out in college, right? Experiencing new things, doing different things. And it's not that I need to be necessarily in control of it, but I did really want to watch her as she went through some of these things,
okay,
right?
But
That's fair.
You were definitely giving control. I need to have control. That's all you were giving at the time.
Listen, I think any dad, right, with your girls, and I know this is going to sound wrong and not quite right, but with your girls, there's a lot of stuff to me, in my opinion, that happens to girls maybe a little different from young men, right? And so I'm saying this because, like, even my daughter, like, well, you didn't do this to the oldest, boy, or of course she said his name, but you didn't do this to him, you didn't do this to him. I said, well, baby, I guess my concerns was a lot more different, regarding him. I felt like I knew he was okay, and that he really could protect himself and look out for himself. Yes, even though he was doing some wild things he should not have been doing. I admit that. I honestly admit that. But I didn't want my girls to go through, my girl to go through the same thing. Right? And so I wanted her to be more protected. I wanted her, to be able to look out for her a little more. Even right now, as she's older, right, I still think about her the same way where I don't think so much about the boys, because the boys, once again, I think they, they're going to be protectors of their own families. So I believe right now, of course, they can take care of themselves. Now, is it unbalanced? I got to be honest with you. Yes, I believe it's unbalanced. I can admit to that. Mm-hmm. Now, so I'm sure some people out there are going to see this like, oh, here I go again. And I get it. But I don't know what else to do in those scenarios, right? I look out for you, right? When I say I look out for you, my wife goes out. I don't think about too much happening to me when I go out, but when you go out, I'll be like, hey, everybody check on mom, how mom doing? Because if it's like, say, I'll be going a couple hours and you're going like all day long, I may think like, hey, that sounds like mom, right? And so that if I be going a couple hours or I'd be taking a little long, nobody called. Nobody called, not at all. You know what I'm saying? Nobody even asked me if I'm alive. You know what I'm saying? You're like, damn, where'd you go? You didn't even know I left, right? So it just gives you a thought process. So it's not just me, right? Even in the household that happens.
So the way it happens in our household, because apparently somebody didn't tell you. The way it happens is you usually tell us about 10 to 15 times where you're going. And before you go, you make sure everybody knows that you're leaving. As though we might possibly miss you, but just in case, you got to make sure that we will. Because just in case we don't. The thing is, we know where you're going. We trust that where you're going is where you say you're going is where you're going. If you're going to change your mind, we trust that. I trust that you call me or let me know, text me something, right? And if you go and you don't call or text, I feel like you're there and you enjoyed yourself or you got involved in something that you're interested in, and so that's okay.
Right.
Now, in that sense, it's really no news is good news.
Okay.
Right? So the other part, though, is when it comes to the kids, I want them to learn how we do things and how we figured out how to do things. So the way that I teach is by doing. I don't teach by saying or making thinking that I can make something happen. You're the first person to say you can't make a grown person do a dang thing. But at the same time, you're trying to do that to somebody who thought they were grown.
Well, what I don't want to happen is kind of what happened to us, right? What happened to us, right? We know what kids do when they leave the house.
Yes,
Right?
we were one.
We were one of them, right? We had kids early, right? Now we got to be honest, right? So I was thinking, I don't want my girl, go to school, and all of a sudden, here she is pregnant.
Yeah,
right?
but the thing is, I already knew she wouldn't.
Is it? I didn't know that.
I did.
Okay.
Because we have these conversations, and I
You
already
have conversations like this with her?
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Don't
No, I do not.
Okay,
She don't tell me about
number
these
one.
things.
I ask questions I want to know the answers to.
No.
I ask about everything.
I don't want to know about certain things. I don't want to know about. I just want to know
Kids
she
are
said.
people too. They will definitely tell you because they
Oh.
are thinking about the things you're wondering about. So if you have a question, ask.
It's
The
not-
same way they would when they
I
were
know
little.
I can't protect her from everything, and I know she's
No.
gonna do some of the things that she wants to do. It's just, you know what? Of course, it was a blessing. All of our children, but did it make things some harder, right? It made things a little harder.
Oh yeah.
Correct on us, right? To come through this, right? And so I'm thinking to myself, like, I don't want her to make her things harder on herself.
Right.
When she goes out. And so, as her father, said, yes, we had to go down. We went down a certain road because of the choices we made.
Yes.
Okay, even though our choices, a lot of our choices was blessings in disguise, right? But as we do this right here, I want to make sure, hey, certain things cause consequences, whether they're good, bad, or indifferent, okay? And they can become, some of these consequences make life harder for you. So when we think about, kind of protecting her from these things, yes, I was a little more harsher. I can be honest about that right now. I was way more harsher. I could have been a little nicer about how I would about things, looking at things and making sure we have balanced conversations, because I did come off like, I'm dad, you're going to do what I say or else.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's your girl.
That's
That's why it was so funny because I'm like, how I'm on her side when she's definitely always on your side, but I couldn't let that be because I understood the imbalance that was in that conversation and in that situation because again, with her brothers, it was nothing. It was, oh, okay. But with her, it was, no, you cannot. And I wanted her to know that the same thing that I told her when she was in high school and decided out of the blue, I don't think I want to go to college. I don't want to fill out any applications for college. Well, look, you worked this hard. It's your choice.
Right.
You're the one that's going to have to do the work. You're the one that's going to have to suffer if you don't.
Right.
So it's all on you. So what did I decide to tell her? Remember what I told her? Look, I trust you. You don't want to go to school? Don't fill out the applications. You want to go to school? Fill out the applications. I trust that you will make the best decision for yourself. And either way, it's your life. Because one thing I'm not going to do is worry about what you got or don't got going on when I'm working my life.
To me, I guess, and this, I know it's kind of maybe a little different, especially for the world we live in today, especially in the Western world. As we look at like my boys, right? I raised my boys to think a certain way. Hey, you guys are going to be providers. You guys are going to be the ones that help provide for your wife and for your families. When you raise your boys to think a certain way, you want them to know that they're going to be responsible and they have responsibilities to take care of, right? But also I want my girls to also think, hey, that I'm going to also be a provider in my household. I'm going to also be a decision maker with my husband, as they move forward. And I want them to also know, I want them to feel empowered to do certain things and empowered also to make decisions with their husbands. But, as I was raising them up, I know my balance probably was not as well because it's my thought process. Mm-hmm. About with boys like I was raised. Hey, you're gonna be responsible for your family. Right. You're supposed to do this. You're supposed to work. A man's supposed to do certain things. And I know these gender roles over the years have got but I don't even agree with all the differences, to be honest with you.
No.
And I'm just gonna be honest with you. I still believe in biblical principle. And the man is supposed to work. The man's supposed to provide.
A woman is supposed to work as well.
And I think that
a woman is supposed to provide as well.
And I absolutely
Proverbs 31 is serious for me.
Absolutely.
That's what I want her to see too.
And so, in saying that, trying to find that right balance of and get that right understanding. Sometimes I think it was a little more difficult to me, as I was, like I say, it was easy for the boys for me, but for my girls trying to find, actually, from orders, I haven't been through this with my second girl yet, my youngest girl, but but with the first girl, definitely trying to find that balance, trying to gain that understanding, but also letting her know, hey, you can't do everything, what I mean, because, and then too, your safety as parent, what, am I saying it wrong?
No, you're saying you're right.
Okay,
it's
okay.
just that I laugh because the things that she did do was literally in our home under our roof. And so the funny thing is, the only person I found out was the one that was worried about it. My greatest fears have come upon me. Okay, so I wasn't worried about it because one thing my dad told me, I'm gonna be honest. One thing my dad told me when I was in college with you, Myhisha. You don't want to find something, don't you go looking for it, because you will find it. So I said, okay, well, what do I not want? I figured out everything I didn't want, and then I focused on what I did want. And those are the things that I sought after.
That's fair.
So the same thing with my kids. When I realize what I do want for them, I don't focus on what I don't want, because I do believe that scripture is real, and it is instilled in place now, all of the principles and the problems and the warnings and the blessings. I believe all of this is still accurate, current, prevalent now. I just believe in it. So for me, I do not want to focus on the things that I fear the most concerning my children.
Right.
I want to focus on the things that I desire the most, the things that I can bless them. I want to say those things that be not as though they are. So I was already speaking into her future in the best way I could. When it came down to these concerns, they were also real for me.
Yeah.
They were real. That's why I asked her the questions I asked her. And she felt embarrassed at times, but I think she got more comfortable with, Mom's going to ask me, so my mom knows. And she would tell me stuff like that, like, Mom, you already know. Yes, I do. How do I already know this? Because I asked that question.
Yeah. I looking back, I probably should have been more open about things, as far as wanting to know certain things, but certain things I just didn't want to know. I'm gonna be very honest with you. Oh God, dog. Certain things I just did not want to know.
You did.
Yeah, I want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it now.
You will come to me and ask.
Yeah, but
I will go to her and ask and say, well, this is what this is looking like. So
yeah.
I would like to know, because as far as, I've been 18, but you've never been my age before. So because I've been your age, I know when certain things look a ceren way, they most likely end up this way. This is usually the result. And so she used to get upset at first and like, you don't know. And then I tell her what the result would be. And then I come to her after I know that something has passed.
Mm-hmm.
And then I let her know. And she's like, how'd you know? Again, I've been that age. You've never been this age.
Right.
So because I've been that age and I'm aware of what I did, I'm aware of what other people did around me, I pretty much know what's going to happen. Hey, it's old news. Nothing is new under the sun.
Right. I agree.
Girls do what girls do, boys do what boys do. So we can pretty much guess what's going to happen. And I do believe that was a lot of the basis for your fear.
Yeah, truthfully. I just, I didn't want to know everything. And I got to be open and honest about that. I wanted to see keep my daughter as much as I could. Be my little girl as much as possible. Yes, she's growing up and she's definitely an adult. But in doing that, I also kept myself ignorant in certain things. And that never paid off. I can honestly say that. Now, I'm even at my young one who was 13 now. I think about her, and of course, and I think about as she grows up, I'm definitely going to do my best not to stay ignorant on purpose about certain things. I still don't know if I can take certain conversations. I got to be honest about that. I'm not sure I'm ready. The answer probably no, if I'm being honest. But
why do you think you can't take the conversation?
I just don't want to have certain conversations with my daughters yet. I'm growing.
You are.
I'm growing, but I got to be honest where I'm at. I want to be as long as you're here. No, right. I mean, that's true, right? I can talk to you.
Yeah.
If I had to have, I can. Because I want to be open to talk to me. But certain things I just want to go to your mom about. And I can be honest about that. If I'm being, we being honest about it. I'm thankful. They have their mother here with them that they can have certain conversations with. And if it's okay, just relay it.
It's funny too,
You know.
because that's how you were with the boys. Well, you can always go to mom.
You know, but with I do understand the boys' thought process a lot better about certain things. I honestly do. And I get why you do some of the things. You know, because once again, though, we know we kind of have that, you know, manhood and boyhood. You know, we have that together, right? You know,
Yeah,
you know.
me too.
And so the boys are both adults. If you guys don't remember that, they're both they're the oldest too. And so I bring that up because, like I said, as I continue to grow and to develop in these areas, to you know, the goal of being a better father, I realize I don't have to have hard conversations, and we've had some hard conversations, you know, with my girls, and of course I always have it with the boys. We have real conversations with the boys, and I say hard, and what I mean by hard is difficult conversations that I might not necessarily want to have, but I am willing to have them now, you know, not just push them off on their mother. Like I said, you know, certain things I will say, yeah, you want to talk to mom about, you know, I'll definitely offer a mom to talk about
And
it.
then exit stage
You know?
left. He leaves the room every time.
But if anyway, you know, in my head, I'll be like, I don't want to hear this right now. I can't take it. I can't take it. But at the same time, right? You know, like if I need to be there, I'm there. So you know, I'm working on it. You know, but these are, I think these are real things, and I think every family, in my opinion, has to figure out how they're going to deal with it on their own. How they're going to handle these kind of conversations, or you know, just the hard conversations that they have with their children. You know, we started off, you know, talking about my oldest girl, you know, and how, you know, basically just, you know, want to stay out and hang out, you know, for long periods of time or all night long. And I just, like I said, I was uncomfortable with that. Now, you know, even to this day, I don't like, which she's way older now, and I still don't like the idea of it. But that's, you know, like I said, she's a grown woman, and yeah, she can do the things that she wants to do. It's just, like I said, in my mind, in my mind as a father, especially as when she lives with me, it's like, you know, how can I make sure she's okay? You know what I mean? Is she good? I haven't heard from her in a little while. And for some odd reason, when she's in the house with me, I think that way. Because what happens when she was not in the house, I didn't think that way.
Right.
I was thinking she was okay, but because she's in close proximity to me, it's like, you know, that doesn't leave my mind. Like, I got to watch out for her. So a lot of these things, you know, I know, so I'm just like, I'm doing this on purpose as a father. It wasn't like I was trying to do it maliciously.
No.
It was just on my mind because she's in my household. You know, right now, you know, she's living under my roof. She stays in that room, right? And so if something's going on, I got to make sure, you know, do my best to make sure she's okay, even though I know I can't, you know, she's really in God's hands anywhere she goes.
Yeah.
You know, it's just a difference in the thought process, though, right?
Right.
At least for me, you know, and so that's more so where it came from. And so even with the boys, you know, one thing is very similar though. We think about it, even when we don't want the boys come, you know, and they stay there for a moment. You know, hey, you know, you plan on being back anytime soon. You know, I would ask them to though. That's fair because I would, you know, now I wouldn't think about it so much. You know, I wouldn't check. You know, I wouldn't wake up in the middle of the night checking things like that, right? But it's very true.
Right.
You know?
Right. I kind of feel like the way that you were talking about that is when she's within your borders, it's in your domain. It's your time to protect and to provide.
Yes.
As father. When she's outside of that, it's outside of that. So there's a choice that she made, and so she's there, but she still has protection. Now it's completely God's domain in His borders, even though He's within ours as well, because we do depend solely on Him to protect our borders as well. It's just that there is a transition, I believe, that we as parents go through with each child, and it is different with each child. There needs to be some similarities though as well, so that there's balance, but the differences in the children, their personalities, their behaviors, that's what the flux of the differences will be, as far as I think within to keep it balanced. But when it comes down to it, when they reach a certain age, I do believe that something happens to a child. I know it happened to me. I've watched my children, it happening to them, the older ones, and even nieces and nephews. And that is, there comes a time, usually it kind of starts with girls at around 13. I didn't see it happen to the boys until they were like 16, 17. But there's this thing that I see, it's like a button gets pushed in them. That button says, hey, I got this. I know what to do from here. You taught me everything. I watched you do it over and over again. I could do the same thing. And so that's when they start pushing away from us and wanting to, you know, have their own demands. They want to have their own stuff a certain way. They want to create boundaries for themselves that don't include us anymore. They want to make sure that their stuff is private and secretive.
Yeah, yeah.
And I know that you probably think it's because they doing stuff.
But you know, think about this. You know, we did a pretty, in my opinion, I think we've done a good job of doing our best to raise great children to be young adults and but great men and women. You know, Scripture says, "Train a child up in the way they should go. When they're old, they're not depart from it." But you know, sometimes we look at our kids like train a child in the way they should go, and then when they get old, they'll go buck wild, right? I mean, think about it, right? Because
that's where faith comes in.
That's where faith comes in. Because some of the actions be buck wild, and you be trying to figure it out. It's just that's the difference.
Right? Well, see, that's where I see. For me, it's a reflection of how I felt and what I did. Mm-hmm. Now, I know that what I did in my life probably wasn't what my parents expected me to do or the way that they expected me to do it, even though it was not as wild as they say that they had. Well, my dad was kind of boring, but my mom, the stuff she told me, I was nowhere near that. So I felt like, I'm conservative. But too, I was more like my dad. In that sense, I looked at each child, and I've been paying attention to their personality since they were born.
That matters, though.
One thing about our oldest daughter is, I really do believe in that saying that there's 3 types of kids that go off to college. One of them, the one type, has been really, really, really structured and bogged down with rules their whole life. And when they get to college, they're like, what? No rules? Oh, it's on and popping. So they just like everything. That's right. The one that gets crazy drunk, go
buck wild.
Buck wild. Does everything, right? Then you have the second one. The second one is like, had some sort of restrictions, but it was all right. Didn't really go too far with anything because they kind of put their own restrictions on themselves. They had guidance, but they kind of like, I don't want to go that way. I don't want to go that way. Yeah, this is the kind of like stay on the straight and narrow. Mm-hmm. So they go down there. Then the third one is the one that had no restrictions at all. You. But think about it. The ones who had no restrictions in high school, they kind of go either way, but they typically have already created their path. They kind of know because they learned a lot while they were in high school still, right? So they know about the extreme that the one who was tightly ruled doesn't have any clue about, but now is learning out there as a young adult by themselves with no home, to come down to with parents, all these kids to go to, right? Which is why a lot of problems happen. But then you have that other person who's sitting there like, they're watching all this too. They have rules, but they put more of the rules on themselves. They're structured because they choose to. One thing I learned about our daughter, our oldest daughter, was by herself, she put restrictions on certain things.
That's true.
And another thing, she let just go away, she just has no restrictions. So in the areas that I saw that I did not believe that she had restrictions on herself, I would ask her about those things. Okay. And because I was inquisitive, kind of shocked her, like, how'd you know I'd be thinking about this while I'm doing that? And I was like, it's not like, I got spies on you or anything. Right. It's just because within this age, we typically, we get exposed to certain things. And now that we have technology, they have technology we didn't have. Right. I know that their exposure is much more than ours. So I asked, but also, just like I did with school, I learned a lot in that year of school where I told her she didn't have to apply. As soon as I left the school, the counselor called me and asked me, what the heck did you tell your daughter? She hasn't left my office. She's filling out all these applications. I said, I told her I trust her. I trust her to make the right decision for her life. Right. Now that was what really told me that for her, everything that I have been trying to get her to do, she saw was good for her.
That's all.
But it wasn't until I took my hands off and let her do it herself that I realized, oh my God, my child is listening to me.
I see that too. She definitely does work better with hands off. You let her, give her the idea, give her the opportunity. She does make good choices. Yeah. But that's by kid. We notice that too.
It's by personality because each person is different. For sure. Yeah, each person is different. So, like I said, I've been paying attention to their personality since they were younger. This last one of ours, she has way more rules and regulations than the other ones did. Yeah. But those are self-inflicted.
That's self-imposed.
And I'm proud of her for the choices she makes for herself. And I know that we will still have trials and challenges with her. That's true. It's just that's where we are. So.
Well, family, thank you for joining us today on Conflicts and Conversations. We really appreciate you tuning in and watching, and please share this video out with others.
So don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you have any questions for us, leave them in the comments for us.
Take care, family. Thank you for watching.
Blessings.
Bye now.